Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Forge Hub YouTube channel. Today we have another episode of Creator Spotlight, and today we are actually going to have the Guardian163 on with us, and a Forge Hub member that some of you may know, Captain Punch. Introduce yourself, guys.
Hi, I'm the Guardian163 slash the Programmer 163 slash Sam Sibbons, and perhaps some other names in the future.
Oh geez, that's a lot to follow. That's Captain Punch. You may have to add a 374 to that, depending on what platform you're looking at.
All right, guys. Well, welcome to today's podcast slash interview slash whatever we'd classify this as. So I guess I'll start off with the first question for you, Guardian. How long have you been in the community for? The Halo community in general, that is.
About 15 years, because I started back in Halo 3, and I was like 11 or 12, so that's a long time. That's a long while ago. So I started with 360, but I wouldn't say I was part of the Forge community. More like I was with Bromway, doing our little thing, speaking only French, so we couldn't really communicate with people on Forge or anything. We didn't speak English, so we were more like two little hermits working together and just trying stuff.
I get that. You mentioned Bromway. Who's that?
Bromway is basically my Forge partner, which we started playing together in Halo 3. We messed around, we forged a lot. By the way, side note, I found some very old pictures of the very first maps I made, and it was nauseous to see that. It was bad. Okay, continuing. But yeah, we forged in Halo 3, Halo 4, Halo Reach, and then I sold my Xbox, and I didn't get an Xbox One until like 3 or 4 years ago. I think it's 3 years ago. Might be 4, because I don't keep track of time that well. And during that time, Kim and I never talked, and then we started forging again once I got an Xbox, as if we had never lost touch, basically. So,
nice.
It's pretty epic.
So yeah, it sounds like really that collaboration is what.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it really helped you pull that together.
For sure.
I mean, what was your experience, I guess, with the difference between having somebody to work with and not having somebody to work with?
With someone, I finish stuff alone. I tend to not finish stuff. So the biggest difference is that basically does something actually ever get released? If I work alone, chances are very good that I'll get distracted or work on something else while I run out of ideas or something.
Yeah, it's really hard to maintain that focus sometimes without, I guess, somebody else at least holding you accountable, if not being the,
yeah,
I want to finish this because we're, I'm doing this not just for me. You know, it's not just I'm going to release this and maybe somebody will look at it. It's, no, we're doing this, we're going to finish this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, he's not like strict or something, but it's like, hey, we want to forge.
Yeah.
I'll hop on it. I'll go forge a little bit. All right.
Well, yeah, it's not always like, authoritarian. It's just more of like the camaraderie from it. It gives you that drive. You know what I mean? It's just stronger.
Not to mention, like, when it comes to collaboration, that also, like, helps you get more ideas and stuff that maybe you might not have thought of, whether that be with, I know you guys have done a lot of scripting, both of you guys have, but whether that be with scripting and, like, cool scripting ideas that maybe you might not have thought of, or maybe expanded your knowledge on some sort of aspect of scripting, or whether that be some sort of part of, like, a level element or a map design. Like you.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's, been most of my influence is just, helping other people figure out ways around the roadblocks that they've come up to. Whether it's just been by being the guy who absorbed all of the information that other people have figured out, or, having been the one who figured it out himself, or just figuring it out right then. So, yeah, I mean, even more than the stuff that I've just built myself or built with people and released, just getting other people stuff done. So, yeah, that's a big one.
Mine won't sound as humble. I tend to do my own stuff and just figure out my own stuff.
You're
but
good, dude.
Captain Punch and Addicted to Chaos saved me with markers at some point, because those were a complete headache. And Bobby's here actually taught me the basics of numbers. Yeah, usually I'm stubborn and a hermit. Figure stuff
Yeah, and I
out
never
my
got
own.
a chance to work with Bob, so that was too bad.
I
didn't
actually
really
haven't
work
heard.
with him. Just had asked him a bit of
Oh
advice.
yeah, but
for,
I guess I see that as somewhat similar. You know what I mean? Helping people, working with them.
Sure.
Yeah.
How long did you know Bob? Like did he help you with anything else other than just numbers or?
No, just that. Uh, but I like
I
him.
guess we.
It's all
Oh,
I can say,
sorry.
basically.
Yeah, I
We
guess
haven't hung
we should
out much, but I
clarify. It's
like
not
him.
just numbers. It's the scripting's number system, which was
Yeah.
we just refer to it as numbers at this point. But yeah, it sounds really funny
Yeah.
without context.
Oh yeah, he taught me to count up to 5.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
yeah.
I'm a drummer, so I can't do that. Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's right. It sounds weird out of context. It's part of scripting that's it's probably the most complex part, but also the best, because numbers are great.
To go back towards more of what, because you said that you've been around for quite a while, Bromway's helped you out, Bob's helped you out and all that. What are some things that have inspired you to create more stuff, whether that be maps or art in Forge, like anything?
Romeo and I have like an inside joke, and it's the map influences us to make the map. Like the map makes the map,
Yeah.
literally, because you can go with the perfect plan and try to follow it. You'll find new ideas that you hadn't thought about before, and B, some of the ideas won't work, so you have to throw them away anyway. So very often, like literally, the map is gonna influence itself. So yeah, just keeping an open mind. I'm not sure how else to say it, honestly, because it's hard to describe, but it's like instead of being inspired by some show or some map, which obviously happens a lot as well, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you keep an open mind to follow along your idea, you'll get even more ideas. So you'll start with a plan and then you do something completely different, but much better than what you were planning on doing.
So not quite flying by the seat of your pants, but more just, starting with an idea and then letting that idea evolve, adding the things that you find that you need rather than just,
Yep.
making yourself be restricted to the original idea, which may have been too small to get what you wanted out of it.
Sure. Yeah. And also, bad ideas are good. And what I mean by that is, I don't think all ideas are good. Okay. I think there are some bad ideas, but the bad idea can give you a good idea. So
Yeah, I've seen that before.
try, even if it's bad, if it takes a few seconds to try it out, just try it out anyway.
Yeah.
Because it takes only a few seconds, and you might be wrong, or it might give you an idea. So if something is easy to try, no matter how bad the idea is, if it's 5 seconds, just try it anyway.
Especially with how long like Halo and Forge has been around, and like creating stuff has been around in Halo. Like there's a lot of things that didn't work in previous games that all of a sudden could start working in Infinite or even 5 if people are still going to be building in 5. Like there's like
Yep.
so much stuff that hasn't been tried or has been tried that could be tried again or could be brought to the spotlight more if people just like put out their idea as they intended. But of course, like taking the feedback into account for everything. So like if an idea is not good or something like that, like if like you play test it over and over and like, hey, this just isn't working, then you got that feedback like that's not gonna work.
Yeah. And it can be really hard to push through that testing when people are given that over and over again.
100%.
Trying different things to get your intent out.
I'd actually say that it's not a lost cause, even if every time you tested your map, everybody hated it, because test early, test often, and like the thing you come up with doesn't have to be good right away. Well, okay, one side note, but when I make infection maps and puzzle maps, mostly, we don't do Slayer maps, so I guess there's a difference there, because for a Slayer map you need some balance so that it doesn't, I think you need some more foundations than just improvising for that stuff, so perhaps it doesn't apply there. Perhaps you can have some lost causes in that case. But for infection infection or things that are not symmetrical, even if you start with something really bad, by seeing people play it, if you pay attention, you'll be able to find out what's bad, you change it. So basically what I'm trying to say is, doesn't matter if it's good or bad, you can make it good.
100%.
If we had to do a small phrase, doesn't matter if it's good or bad or terrible, you can make it good.
Yeah, and that does make sense, especially in that vein, because the bigger difference between those two kinds of levels, the examples you gave of a Slayer, just a core level, or something like Infection, is that with Infection, you can take your encounter spaces and just worry about each individual encounter space and, kind of how they connect with each other as like a separate like encounter space transition.
Yeah, I'd say we'll have
But
more leeway.
you don't have to worry as much about how the encounter spaces are necessarily stacked around each other in the way that you would like with the Slayer level, and have to worry about spawning and respawning. Is like, if you're in this region, this region is going to have threat, or like we want to make sure people are spawning by the weapons that are respawning. Those are all just concerns that just go
for
away.
balance,
so you get a lot more control.
Yeah, for matchmaking for core stuff, you need balance, and it's tough to keep track of. So there's definitely a difference there. Well,
Exactly.
Actually, there's balance issues with Infection as well, but
There are, yes, but you can iron them out in each encounter space rather than having to, have the whole architecture of the level be centered around, flow and pathing and lanes and you don't have to worry about as much in that way.
We can definitely talk more on that, because actually one of the other next questions I was going to ask was, what are some things that you'd want in Infinite and stuff? And honestly, one of the things that I've been looking at that would be pretty cool is, so one of the biggest problems with free roam maps is that there's always one area that people like just gravitate towards. Like, it's the broken area on the map, or it's the most difficult to die, things like that. So what I think would be kind of cool is, we've seen attrition in Infinite with the attrition hill. I think it would be cool if after a certain amount of people died, that ring came in on the map and like pushed people towards the center of the map and made it more like back up against the wall. So the like infected can be outside of the ring and be perfectly fine, but the humans have to like use the map that's allowed to them. So like kind of like starts pushing them in, makes their backs up against the wall, makes the gameplay more enjoyable for both the infected and the humans, because things can't just be like one room and that's it for 5 minutes. And I think that could be quite interesting. But Guardian, what would your wants be for Infinite's Forge in general?
Okay, I want to be able to force colors on people. First of all, I want to be able to change teams via scripting. So hey, there you go. Now you're now blue team. So those are two big things. Being able to apply traits on the fly, traits that do not inherit from the base traits. That's what we have in Halo 5. I think that's bad.
Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate. They're stuck with those 5 you get in the settings,
So if you could instead just make a whole set of traits that is completely independent. So if it's 100%, well, not independent, but relative to the original settings, basically. So even if the default player has 90%, okay, here's an example. The alpha infected and the secondary of infected, they behave like that. If you put 90% health on the second infected, it's not going to be 90% of the alpha infected, it's just going to be 90% of a normal Spartan. So...
Okay, I think I'm following you.
That would be very helpful, because it would make it... for minigaming for traits, that make it much easier to apply traits based on what you want. And
if you can't force colors, I don't know what we're going to do for Griffball. I mean, I know we don't need that particular feature, but it was kind of one of the core aspects.
I'd be more worried about multi-team, because then like you have like just 12 people in front of you that are all red or yellow or whatever your enemy color is, and then 4 green.
Yeah,
so
because it's just enemy color.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of concerns
and the alpha zombie as well.
How that limits our ability to do things that we used to be able to do. So it's, for me, it's just another instance of it's not us carrying the sandbox forward. We get some of the sandbox carried forward, and we lose a lot of what we had. And I don't know, the equipment system in Infinite could fit pretty much all of the features from previous games in it if we just had some sort of dev-based loadout UI. We could build experiences from pretty much any of the other games. I mean, jetpack,
I'm sure that will all be brought in.
dodge roll, all of that could be equipment, you know? So, I mean, it fits. It just fits in there. I know it's work. It's just they have a slot for it. Like, they have a slot where it would work. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's always better to have more features than fewer. Even if it looks like, is it really useful? Maybe not. Someone can find a use for it.
Yeah, and I'm very optimistic about that stuff. I think like in the long run we'll get all that stuff, whether it be for Forge or custom games. But it's all just gonna take time.
Yeah, I'm very hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, either that or somebody's gonna mod. They'll have to deal with people tweeting about it, well, whether or not the people tweeting know what they're talking about or not.
Well, thankfully, 343 has been very pro mod ever since the backlash
that's
from
been
Halo
helpful.
4.
That definitely has been helpful.
To continue the conversation a little bit more, I guess, when it comes to your stuff and your forging and all that, you said like you're very into like infection and minigame and all that. So what would your recommendations, or what would your what would you say to inspire new forgers? What would your recommendations be to help them get into the forging tool and all that? Like,
I'd say just start with anything at all. Make something bad on purpose. Just get comfortable just doing stuff out of inspiration, just for fun. Just start, basically, because I know on ForgeUp there's a lot of tools and guides on how to make things balance and all that stuff, and very good stuff, and obviously read into it, you'll find a lot of help from that. But the way Roman and I started, we just threw stuff around back in Halo 3. I was 11 or 12. We knew nothing at all, but eventually, just by trying stuff, we got good. So don't be afraid of like releasing an imperfect map or an ugly map or a map with scripts that are broken. Because if you release a map with all the scripts completely broken and the picture looks nice and I play it, I might send you a message and then, hey, I could help you with the script, and now suddenly whatever problems you had, you don't have them anymore. So people will help and you'll improve. So don't worry about starting and trying stuff. If you're doing stuff, people are going to want to help and you're going to learn. So just start.
Punch, do you have any questions for our friend here?
Yeah, I mean, you know, as much as I actually did already know Guardian here through the Scripters Guild, and had recently brought them on my team for the guild, you know, I haven't actually had a chance to see a lot of the content, and even just recently learned that, you know, you'd done a bunch of Minecraft stuff even before you got into Halo. So I mean, with the puzzle levels and things like that, my curiosity would be when you are designing the mechanisms or deciding like, all right, I want to build something based around this concept or theme. Is there somewhere that you are pulling those initial ideas from that you iterate on?
The Explorer?
Yeah, no, hey, I mean, like that's legitimate. I mean, like
yeah.
If it's a springing off point, it almost doesn't matter how silly it is sometimes. You'd be surprised the source images I use to get some of my textures.
But first of all, a saying I have is never let the truth get in the way of a good joke. So I did a decent joke, but I can't take credit for that, because it's actually Bromway.
Oh, okay.
Because he has a kid and he watched the Roger Explorer, so it gave some idea, and obviously Indiana Jones. But what I mean by the Roger Explorer is in the second map of the Temple of Lost Souls, there's I don't want to give too much away because it's pretty surprising.
Okay.
So I can't want to keep it. But anyway, there's a very tough. Yeah, I guess very tough puzzle, and it's straight from the Roger Explorer. Like,
no, that's
basically copy paste.
Hilarious and awesome. There's no reason to feel bad about that at all.
I don't know, we just think it's funny.
Especially if it works, right? Like it doesn't matter if it works.
Exactly.
I mean, it usually does. You know, You know how
Like-
scripting goes.
And I just want to interject here real quick. For context for anybody, he says he has puzzle maps and all that. These are actually maps that you can go onto his file share on Halo 5. I don't know if he has any in MCC, but probably MCC as well. And you can just like go on there by yourself and like just play around and have like fun on a puzzle map trying to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, we are slowly but surely running out of time here. So, Captain Punch, is there anything that you'd like to ask or say to Guardian before we go off here?
No, I actually covered that with the questions I asked a bit ago.
Awesome, okay. In that case, Guardian, do you have anything that you'd like to say to all the listeners and viewers?
Yeah, I guess I'll just reiterate the most important point, which is if you want to start making stuff, just start, and that's it. Do the worst thing ever on purpose and still release it anyway. And you'll improve. Because if you wait to do the perfect thing, like nothing's ever perfect. Like there's always something else that you could add or change. So do it badly and it's fine. You have the right to make a bad map. You have the right to release a bad map. You have the right to learn. You have the right to make mistakes. Just go ahead, do it, and you'll improve. Period. So
100%.
yeah, that's my advice.
100%, and that's a great note to end off on. Thank you everybody for listening to this podcast / whatever we're gonna call this for as long as it's been. It's been a pretty long episode this time, but I think it's definitely been worth it. We've all got to learn and understand Guardian here a little bit more, and hopefully you guys will check out some of his puzzle maps and maybe even infection maps if you guys can get lobbies going. So hopefully everybody enjoyed the video / audio recording today. So hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and remember, let's forge a new Halo.